that's given rise to a study that I think has to be gone far more in depth, which is the study of the meme lord or the edgelord or the memer, the idea of the feudal architecture of the web and how little power memers have. And when they do, they find so much value in it, but it's a constant amount of work inside of creating a memetic culture. So when I look at it, or like what I see with what I'm studying, is being able to bridge the research that goes behind it, and also like the corporate consequences of actually making these things. Like these aren't just, you don't just be a memer, you have to be in the culture. And that's a term being very online, which is sometimes looked down upon, but it's part of understanding or feeling how it goes. Very recently, there was a Patch article that covered my work, the work I did at the college I work at. And it was almost like funny to see like the comments, the reactions for it, because people were not happy that there was a course being offered at my college, a memes course. And I implore these people to actually take that course, because they don't understand that this is a real, not just an academic study, but something that they're affected by, and they don't really know. Meme literacy is probably one of the least amount of things people have. I mean, if nobody has digital media literacy, you can't expect them to have meme literacy.
Yeah. And what do you think, by having this understanding, what do you think that can do with, let's say, if you're talking about something like media literacy, does that cause you to view media differently? Does it cause you to understand maybe the context differently? Because as I would kind of find that, because personally, when I'm sometimes looking at some of these memes, you kind of, you wonder how many layers you have to understand, because to your point, a meme is also, it's very meta. It's referring to something else that you would have to really have a deep level of understanding that, frankly, was only possible in a digital age where you could actually have those connective dots that you could, look up if you were researching or something. Whereas, pre-web, I can't imagine this being feasible.
It was, I mean, there's books, many books. I mean, Roland Barthes, like Mythologies is literally about this, or some like you go back to Walter Benjamin in the 30s, like their work is really about this. Like the essay, the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction is about memes. It was about film at the time, like the idea that we could constantly replicate media. And he was being very critical of propagandistic media. So it was possible, but it was so isolated. There was no widespread ability to understand referent, or the idea of understanding signs, except for massive symbology, like massive stuff, like things that we could just all agree on, like a stop sign. Like that type of semiotics are like much more wide based. When it comes to memes, yeah, you literally need a fluency of the internet. I always talk about like writers, like you mentioned BuzzFeed before, like writers like Ryan Broderick have a fluency. They speak internet. They his ability to actually be online and actually speak to people who use the internet, as well as being able to speak to the public, is the fluency that we need. It's another language. Memes themselves act as if it's another language. And the hardest part about them is that it's much like code, like HTML or CSS, where we can't speak it out loud. But if you're fluent in it, you can make websites. So when you're fluent in memes, you have to know that you could think it. You're like, oh, how do I explain this? And then you have to be able to translate that to an audience. And that to me is much more of a visual, which is also exclusive too. Like the problem of visual media is it's exclusive. It leaves out certain audiences, people who may not have access to that content, people who are impaired, and people who can't really have a cognizance of metaphor, or some of the extra rhetoric that's built in. Most memes are built on nuance. So if there's a nuanced level of understanding that somebody can't get, then it becomes very confusing to somebody.